Let me ask you something. Do you believe your situation's holding you back? Seriously, I want you to reflect on that a little bit and come back with an answer. It doesn't matter where you come from, what situation you're in. Humans, we live in our own world. So, a lot of time we tend to be selfish in our thoughts, and we look around at our surroundings and compare it to others. We see a lot of negative things. So, let me tell you the truth. For a while, I did. I thought my situation put me in a worse position than everyone else. Divorced family, first generation student, no one in my family handles finances well. I've been working since I've been in high school, and I'm still working, and I'm 2 years into college. So I'm in a position where I have to do all these other things, and you know because of that I can't work on this project, or I can't do this, and I'm always telling myself, you know I can't do this. But if I just didn't have to work, then I would study all the time. If I didn't have to work, if I didn't have to commute every day, then I would spend 2 extra hours on a personal project, and I would, make money or something. So I don't believe that anymore. Let me tell you, I thought I was in a disadvantaged situation, and I was wrong. And not in a motivational, preachy way, like there's some real science behind your life, your hardships, and how that correlates to you succeeding. So for today, if you ever felt like how I just described, if you find yourself making those excuses, if you tell yourself negative thoughts like subconsciously, I want you to take this video and try to apply some of these things I'm going to tell you. I really want you to reshape your mental mind, as the title says, reshape your background into a positive light, you know? So, let me tell you a really big reason. You're getting reps, they're not. And so I'm a gym person, so bear with me. I'm going to give a little gym analogy here, but everyone knows of progressive overload. You go to the gym and you lift weights, and you find a weight where you can barely do 6 reps. You can barely, do 6 um dips, or 6 push-ups, and you can't do any more. So, maybe you do 5 and you do that 3 times, and then the next week you come back, you do a little more, right? You're stressing out your muscles, your tendons, whatever, you're tearing stuff. You give it rest, and it builds up stronger. That's not just the gym. That's not just physical. That's mental as well. So let me put it this way in the actual terms. If you have other responsibilities that you feel like are prohibiting you from, building a successful business, maybe getting internships, being a successful college student, and you find yourself blaming yourself or these other responsibilities that have been forced upon you, maybe you should be thankful for those, right? Now, your mind has to adapt. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you're in a situation, you may like have negative thoughts, but you are adapting, you're doing. And so, by everything you do, if you have to work, like I have to work, if you have to work, that's something you have to worry about, something your mind has to adjust to. And you're going to school, and you have to help out your family with this on the weekends, and you have to take care of this thing, and you have to commute every day, and you doing all these extra things on top of school. You're building load in your mind. I really want you to think about that. you know it's hard, but you're doing it, and you're just building up this tolerance. you know you could build up a tolerance to drugs, you can build up a tolerance to anything. You're building up strength, and at our young age we're dealing with things, like finances, and school and grades and studies and car and all these things that could potentially be an excuse for why you're not achieving your goals. And you have to worry about all these other factors. That's load that you're building that is actually positive. It works in your favor. You have a bigger mental capacity for stress, for responsibility, than all your other peers. You know, so take that and really be grateful. I'm grateful that I have to help my family business out on the weekends, even though it has nothing to do with my future. Or I'm grateful that, I have to work during this time because I get to build social skills and, stuff like that. And, really reframing it that way, you start to be grateful for your situation more. And, it's really helped me apply that and find ways in those other areas of life that I can pull from and take and actually do what I want to do with it. So, a little backstory into my life. So, 3 months ago, I had never even submitted a single internship application. I felt behind. They say the recruitment cycle's active, towards summer, winter, and, by the new year, it's kind of dying down. So I was like, oh, well, another year where I'm not going to get anything. And I started really, thinking about, blaming my life and, I only have an hour to do this and that. And it's like, okay, well, I have an hour, so I'm going to do it anyway. It may be 1 hour and it may not be as much, nearly as much time as anyone else, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend that hour, 2 hours a day I have to apply. Now I'm in a position where I can say I've gotten multiple internship offers, multiple, I know, and I've actually accepted one. So within the span of 3 months, I went from never applying to any internship to having one lined up for the summer. And I'm a first generation student. I was, figuring things out with help. I reached out for help and I can talk to you about that. Um, but just by like applying myself and really thinking about, hey, like I deal with all these other things in my life. What's one more thing, What's one more responsibility that I can't handle? And just adding those things, and they by reframing it as you're grateful for all these extra things, you almost start to seek out more and more. And so I really want you to know that no matter how hard it seems, or no matter how lost you are, life can take a turn in 3 months, just 3 months. And by appreciating your life and your background, it really helps you be confident in who you are and grateful in your situation. And it seems like stuff just starts working out for you, you know. And then I want to continue with that and, talking about just in general, but people say, "Oh, you get lucky." All these people get lucky. Oh, that guy got lucky. They got lucky cuz they were in the room, you know. So, like I said, I wasn't applying to any internships 3 months ago. Whether I got lucky or not, I was within those 3 months I was actually applying, and this could relate to anything. I'm never going to start a successful business because I have to work 50 hours a week and I have to come home and take care of my mom and do all this stuff. So I only have an hour a day. Well, it's like, yeah, your business will never get lucky and blow up, or your social media will never blow up if you never post. So you can't even get lucky. So I urge you once again, for reframe your mindset of, I do all this stuff and it's stressful, to what's one more thing? What is one more thing I add on? I'm already stressed, I'm already this. What's one more? And, you know, you put yourself in those opportunities to get lucky, and you might actually get lucky. And if it's luck, it's luck. But you put yourself in that position. The guy who has never even opened up an application is not going to get lucky, so he can't get lucky. The guy who applies 5,000 times might get lucky. So at least, put yourself in those positions to get lucky. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this was a little bit of a ramble. I plan to keep posting, and hopefully we can get more defined on the points of these videos. But I really wanted to just kind of post this to maybe rewatch for myself in the future, but reshape your mind. Maybe you're watching this and it's Monday or whatever day of the week it is, and I'm with you, brother. I'm doing a lot every day. 19-year-old, you feel like sometimes, these kids are smarter than me. These kids have more free time than me. These adults, they're doing more with their lives than I am, and you feel like you're being held back by your situation. Um, really try to be grateful for that situation, and just really like, hey, what's one more thing? I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I'm stressed out. One more thing. if even if it's an hour a day, and you know by then reshaping your mind, you can build momentum. But this is for you. You know, you're just trying to start out. You know, reshape that mindset. You know, what's one more thing? So I guess you know that's a two-parter. Um, be grateful for your situation, and you know, what's one more thing? That's all I have to say today, guys. Um, if you like this type of video, if you had any suggestions or improvements, or you maybe want me to talk about a certain thing, I got you. Appreciate everyone watching, and hopefully I can help you out, give you some guidance. This is as much for me as it is for you too. So, um, my name's Kais. Peace out.